Okay, so before the break, I was saying, of course, this little company that developed a cure because a cure it is, uh, for cancer without mutilation, suffering, financial or physical, and any horrible side effects, nothing. And of course, what happened without any burden to funding by public resources or even private donation, nothing. All it had was not donation, just investment, minor, very minor, in exchange for stock. So that's just normal, the companies do. And what happened? No burden to anything. What happened? Oh, that had to be slashed and destroyed and hammered down the company and me. That had to put to an end, robbed, insulted, charged with wrong accusation, all sorts of things, while all these millions have been going to organizations that do nothing. And we're not talking about nickel and dime, we're talking millions and millions and millions, and we're getting into the billion for years and years to accomplish nothing.
It's more cancer.
Yeah, just making sure that people get sicker and sicker. But there it is. This article, it's a little old. It's December 26th. But I think I didn't get a chance to talk about this before. I need to bring to your attention. This article, that goes well with the 540 million. Biomarkers data improve breast cancer staging. So they work on biomarker, estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor, human epidermal growth factor 2, HER2, that's what the famous always mention HER2 means, human epidermal growth factor 2. Their study could improve the accuracy of breast cancer staging. Okay, and then what? What's the exciting story about this? What's the importance of this? Oh, well, because we won't make mistakes about the staging. Instead of basing our staging in purely anatomic way. What does that mean? Just looking at it, the size. Okay? Now, instead, we are using non-anatomical staging factors for breast cancer. And what does that do? Oh, that would help clinicians provide better cancer care. Really? Why? They're going to stop chemo radiation or mutilation? No. So what do you mean better cancer care? And that is a success. That is an achievement. We're doing better cancer staging. Okay, you're doing better cancer staging. Are you curing the people? No, well, we are giving them better care. Then what happened with that? Well, that just depends. But the good news is they have this other article that says that, no, that's not it. Basically, they're claiming that the U.S. cancer death rates continue to drop.
Boy.
Yeah. And you know why that continued to drop? Because people die of kidney failure, liver failure, heart failure caused by the better care. But this way, they can attribute their death to something else. It's not that the cancer treatment failed, they died of something else. So the death for cancer has been dropping. See how great that is? Yeah. If somebody dies of heart failure, it's the death of heart failure, not death from chemo that caused heart failure. No. It's heart failure. Well, in fact, that goes along with this other article that was saying how interns are not equipped when in their work to help childhood cancer survivors. And apparently the childhood cancer survivors is a growing population. Patient population. And most of the interns says they were not that familiar with health screening guideline for childhood cancer survivors. Because, get this, these are talking about childhood cancer, and I have something to say about that too in a minute, okay? These patients, grown up that had cancer as children, need special health care throughout their life. Okay? So that means that they're not living the life they should have in the first place. They are survivors, but they have special health care problems, and that will be throughout their life. See, that's exactly what I told you. Nothing is resolving the problem. They're only introducing additional problem. And maybe the cancer stopped. Maybe, only maybe, but they have so many other problems that they have to be watched carefully over their lifetime. Okay, so their life is totally ruined forever. Because, as said, the treatment, get this, okay, actually in the article, the treatment that helped save these kids' lives also put them a long-term risk of chronic health problems. They're admitting to it finally. Oh, but we saved their lives. Now they're sick forever, but we saved their lives. And the problem is that most physicians do not know the guideline how to handle this patient well enough to make an appropriate recommendation. So basically, they don't know anything. They don't know, well, we know that, and they don't know how to handle these patients, grown up that had cancer as children. And why are there so many cases of children with cancer? There didn't used to be that many in the past. It's not that the number of population has increased, the number of children has increased. It's just the percentages are high. Why? Of course, nobody's discussing that. Well, cancer is on the rise, although they're saying that it's dropping. Well, the cancer deaths are dropping. As I said, see, they are not dying of cancer, they're dying of cancer treatment, which most of them are nowadays anyway. But why? Let's go back to the question. Why so many children are getting cancer? Well, try to look at this. Used to be that they were saying a pregnant woman could not take anything, could not take even a headache remedy, could not take anything because that would affect the child's health. Now, they're letting them take anything. They're encouraging that. Now, if a woman has cancer, they even give her chemo. And they tell her, oh, it's okay. Now, listen, 20 years ago, of course, she couldn't smoke, she couldn't drink, because it would hurt the child. And don't you think that poison will hurt even more than smoking and drinking? My guess is that it would. I'm not saying that smoking and drinking won't hurt the child, but I would say, is that going to hurt the child more than the poison being put in the mother's body? No, it's not. But let's go ahead. It's okay to give her chemo, and she does not have to have an abortion before, because they used to do that. But no, they can have chemo. It's not a problem. They can have radiation. And then you're telling me the child is not getting a childhood leukemia or other cancer? Please. The answer is so obvious, but the medical is covering it up. is saying, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You can have all of this and it won't affect the child. Really? And how are all these an overwhelming figure of children with cancer? And then, of course, adults with totally ruined health. Hey, what are we doing? What are we doing to people? And people, wake up. What are they doing to you, and what are you allowing? Because you're allowing them to do it to you through ignorance and stupid fear. Use logic. I just can't believe, and I could not believe when I heard people actually undergoing chemo when they were pregnant. And they're not stopping this in the brainwashing of people. They're not stopping it. Listen, I got this article. This other article. Oh, let me get it. With all this paper, it's getting ridiculous. Okay, do you know how they've been pushing the flu vaccine? Big thing. Oh, yeah. The flu vaccine is great. Well, they're not happy with what they have done so far because obviously people are really not listening. So this is January 6th article, Epiphany. The title is, listen to this, flu vaccine may, and even the may right there is a clue. They really don't know for sure. They're just throwing it out there to confuse you. May improve birth outcomes for pregnant women. So they're saying it's good for you to get a flu vaccine while you're pregnant because it will help you during delivery. Ha! Okay. Pregnant women who receive the influenza vaccine during pregnancy may, and get this, may, have lower odds of having a preterm delivery or delivering a low birth weight baby compared to pregnant women who did not get vaccinated. Okay, so they're not gonna have a preterm delivery. They may. See, that's another thing. They may have less chance of preterm delivery or delivery at a low birth weight for the baby. Now, what else do they may get? What other problem they may have? Because the flu vaccine is terrible. It's making people sick on the normal condition. A pregnant woman? I don't think so. And instead, they're criminal enough to tell them, oh, you're going to have a better chance of a healthy delivery if you have a flu vaccine. Oh, get out of town. You certainly don't belong in a healthcare environment. And while you're at, shut up your face. I mean, I cannot believe. And then they're, of course, complaining how the vaccination rates are bad and what we can do, how improving the vaccination rate. Because, you know, the company that developed the vaccine and most make money. Even, what was it, yesterday? I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before on the Weather Channel when they were discussing this terrible cold and the effect on people of the terrible cold weather. Well, okay, they have a doctor. They have an expert talking. And what is she saying? Oh, please, get the vaccine. Go get your influenza vaccine. There is still time. It's not too late. Okay. From the old days, you cannot be vaccinated when during an outbreak or something, because that increases the chance of you getting whatever it is that is going around. So that is not a good claim. You have an outbreak of influenza, do not go for the vaccine. It's good, supposedly, it's good before you get it, before the outbreak, but after or during, no. Okay? Well, no. This expert said you need to get the vaccine. Do it. But And that's what comes with all that. But you have to keep in mind that you will not be fully immunized for 2 weeks. So even though you go through the pain of having had the vaccine and being sick from the vaccine, you can still get, you're very likely to anyway, you can still get the vaccine, you can still get the flu in those 2 weeks till the vaccine get into effect. You can still get, and then the clinch is, the real good part of it all comes. You say, well, and even after the vaccine, you might still get the flu. So you have to be careful and take care of yourself. Okay, so even after you get the vaccine, you may still get the flu, so go to see your doctor. Then what's the point of having the vaccine? You can still get the flu. So why do you want to get the vaccine? I have had the flu vaccine only once in my life, and I regret it tremendously. It's not going to happen again. Okay? And I lived through the H1N1 flu. I got it because I had 2 patients that came from the area where the epidemic was, and they gave me that present. I was awful sick as a dog. But for a long time, and I had all this patient schedule, I still had to take care of them, at least in part because I couldn't even stand up. So, crazy. That was 2009. It was awful. But what I'm saying is, even with the vaccine, you're not solving the problem, and you know you get sick with the vaccine. So what the heck are you going for the vaccine for, other than help the company and make money for the company that developed it? And it's a bunch of garbage that they have in those flu vaccines. So, I mean, what is the point? So a lot of people are not going, are not listening, and not going for the vaccine. So what they do, they have to do something. And what they hit on the pregnant women, pregnant women are so worried about doing the right thing to help their child. Well, if you want to do that, don't have chemo and don't have a flu vaccine. Do it the old way. When women were not doing anything, you're just eating very carefully and not, drinking or smoking or taking painkillers, nothing. Just do it the right way. Or not at all. Don't decide to be a parent if you cannot do that. And don't listen to the nonsense they tell you. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, that's what's happening, and that's what the misinformation is going on all the time. And as I said, the misinformation is there for financial reasons. And of course, people that support the medical system attack me and say that's not the case, and there is something wrong with me. And by the way, I am not going to mention the sinner, because you don't do that. You don't mention the sinner, you mention the sin. And the person might recognize himself, but that's just, people will not. So, okay. I got an email. The medical conspiracy got an email from somebody.
Really?
Yeah, that wanted to be on the show or do a show on his time as a guest. Okay, I like to point out something without
okay.
even not only not discussing the sinner, but also even the sin. I like to give it very generic points, and I like to say that yes, I'm here to expose what's going on in the medical. It's not intended to spread hate. I do not spread hate in this show. I do not support people spreading hate. Because if you spread hate among different groups, different trend of thought, different religion, different ethnical background, if you spread hate, all you're doing, you're helping the system that is trying to control you. Because what you're doing, you're spreading hate, so one group will not talk to the other because of this hate thing. And by not doing that, they are not united into fighting the system that is hurting us. So who cares what your religious belief is? It's your own issue. It's your own problem. It's your own private life. It affects that, nothing else. I don't care about the background, ethnical background. I don't care about anything. That doesn't matter. We're all here trying to live a better life. And a life better than maybe if we come from somewhere else, a life better than one we had where we were born. We are all united by the desire to live a happy, comfortable life. That's all we want. And leave something good for our children. Well, we're not going to accomplish that if we fight amongst one another and we're allowing the controlling organization, the government, to hurt us. This is not the end of the second. The third. Okay. So I am not spreading hate. I am trying to spread awareness of what is going on and what we need to fix. United. We're all friends. We're all fighting the same war. We had to work together. I couldn't care less what God you worship or whatever.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Since 9/11, the people of the United States have sadly witnessed the largest transformation in our nation's history. And since then, we've collectively been terrorized over and over again by flag-waving politicians and the corporate news media. We've been sold a nebulous, never-ending war on terror. We've been psychologically conditioned with fear through repeated, endless warnings. A Patriot Act that threatens our democracy. A Military Commissions Act that disregards our Bill of Rights. A homegrown terrorism act that makes us all a threat. And an oppressive fascist state before you know it. Have you ever asked yourself, of all the government failures on 9/11, how is it that our politicians made us pay the price? Don't buy the lie. We're Americans, and we don't give up our Constitution to anyone, terrorists or politicians. We fought wars just to have these rights, and at Orion Talk Radio, we're damn well gonna fight to keep them.
Okay, so we are back for the last segment of this show episode. And I really like to urge people to set aside their difference of minor details, because it doesn't really matter what your job is, what your religion is, what your family condition is. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
The only thing that's important is your stand on gay marriage. Right.
No, I didn't even say that. That's another...
Sarcasm. That's the whole point of the media today. Get everybody, split up on little meaningless issues.
Well,
so they miss the big things.
That's why they can slip on the big things that will hurt you unnoticed. And the government can continue going on this global warming nonsense, and while they hit you with other things that will control your freedom. So don't pay attention to nonsense. Do not fight over many of things. What you choose to do in your life, it is your life. I mean, I'm not talking that you can be a sicko, you can be a murderer, or you can be... I'm just saying, in normal life, whatever religion you want, whatever, okay? It just... unimportant. What's important is that we're all citizens of this country, and we're all seeking to have a better life, more comfortable, happier. Just live a normal life, not as slaves, not as indentured servants, not controlled by big business. just free of this ridiculous control. Like in your case, you have to go to work even if you're sick, because otherwise you lose points. And then so many points and you get fired. I mean, what is this? Where are the unions? What are they doing? Anyway, that's enough of discussion. Let's get back to the medical, because the medical is what this program is about, and exposing the horrible things that are going on. Okay. We were wondering about a lot of things that are going on in this country, in medicine, and get this. This article is saying that pediatric antibiotic in the U.S. have a cost 5 times the one in the UK. And they're comparing the same number of children in the U.S. and the UK and the same kind of antibiotic. Some cases are just a normal antibiotic, run-of-the-mill. What is the name? Isn't it amoxicillin or something? That's the most common.
Penicillin?
No, amoxicillin, they are saying here. I think they don't use penicillin anymore because it's too cheap.
Probably.
And of course now they have the new one that is called azithromycin.
Azithromycin. That's what they had me on. Z-Pack for short.
Is mycin or
well, there are a few trade names. There's zithromycin and azithromycin, and then there's Zithromax. They're all the same drug. There's different package
but they're
names.
more. Okay, so they pronounce mycin. Okay, but they're all more expensive than amoxicillin. Okay, for one thing. But taking the same number of children in the U.S. and the same number of children in the U.K. and similar drugs that they're taking, in the U.S. it costs 5 times more than the U.K. Why? What justifies that 5 times over than the cost? Because in the U.S. there's a private insurance company. Well, why would a private insurance company? That is something that has no answer for me, and I cannot understand. Why would the insurance company like to pay more? They claim they want to pay less, so why it's okay to pay more? I just don't understand that, okay? And that's happening all the time, and apparently even for children antibiotics. 5 times more than in the UK, because in the UK is a government-run healthcare system, and in the U.S. it's private, and even the affordable care. Yeah, that's a farce. Now you remember that we have so many things to go over. It's ridiculous because something new is happening every day. This is unreal. Remember that I started discussing a couple of years ago about how MD Anderson, the big name MD Anderson, is spreading infection through the way they do a biopsy.
Right.
And of course they try to attack me and claim that my method of sterilization was not appropriate because you have to have the proper equipment that I didn't have. And the old way of sterilizing, it's not acceptable. It's being used for a long, long time and has worked. But now that they have the autoclave, you have to use the autoclave. Now, MD Anderson has an immense number of autoclaves. So how come they get this horrible infection? Like the scientific name, I don't remember, it's so complicated, it's ridiculous. But the common everyday name is Morganella, and once you get that, thanks to MD Anderson and I discuss the case to you, that's it. You have it for the rest of your life. You can have, outbreak, but then you can in a very difficult manner, because it's very difficult to find the antibiotic that will work, but then you can keep it under control till the next out, because the body has it permanent. And I told you that how dangerous really it is to go to a place like that, because they have so much business. Yeah, sure, they use the autoclave for the equipment, but they do not use it once and that's it. See, they reuse the equipment. That's the problem. They reuse it before. They do it at the end of the day for the next day, but then they don't have enough and they reuse. They reuse for different patients the same piece of equipment without re-sterilizing, and that's where the problem is. A small organization doesn't do that, sterilizes every single thing, and anything that is disposable is not reused, is dropped in the trash. That's what a small organization that FDA tries to attack does. It does things the right way. A large organization like MD Anderson and other big hospitals, they reuse even the disposable syringes. That's why the outbreak happened. What are you doing?
Huh?
Are you playing the drums?
What do you mean?
Well, I heard boom, boom, you know.
Oh, no, I just hit the mic stand. That's all.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so now there is something else brought about by the Center for Disease Control. And the Center of the Disease Control is confirming the existence of a super bug that gets transmitted through endoscopy. So, if you go to a hospital for any endoscopic procedure, you're in danger of getting infected by multi-drug resistant bacteria. Okay? Now, yeah, that's wonderful. Okay? Going to the hospital and getting all these super modern procedure of everything, and then you get the superbug. Okay. And their excuse is that it's not that they're not doing the proper disinfection, following the proper disinfection methods. No, it's not the case. It's just that because of the shape and the model of the endoscopic devices, then it is difficult to properly clean it. That's the claim. That's the story, and they're sticking to it. Okay? And I don't agree with it. Because they are not, they're spreading the E. coli, and it's just, to me, or pneumonia, they reuse the equipment. Yes, they sterilize it, but they reuse it. Throughout the day, they reuse it. Now, they're claiming that they're not cleaned properly, and they want the designer, the company that designed the endoscopic equipment to change their design to make it easier to be clean and eliminate problems. I think that's not it. I don't know if that might help, maybe, but I think they're reusing the equipment, and I have seen doctors doing that. I have seen it. Even the anesthesiologist that was working for me in Arkansas. I caught him one day and I yelled at him. You don't do that. The disposable are just that, disposable. You throw them out. And this one, if you use it once, you cannot reuse it again throughout the day. Send it off to be sterilized and use something new for a person. But then that requires a lot more equipment that they're willing to have. And that's why you get all of these drug-resistant bugs. That's the reality of the fact. Financial. It's always down to that. Financial. And another thing, they use endoscopy for testing way too much. Ouch! Yeah, this place is really tight, and I always bang it somewhere. No matter what I do, I always bang somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, it's a plot from the medical to make my life miserable And so I'm always hurting myself. No, it's not that. That's a joke. That's a joke. But it is, the medical is responsible because I'm in this mess and in this tight place because of them and because of what they did to me. So it's still connected and it's true. That's where it comes from, only one direction. Isn't it so, Jeremy? Yeah. Anyway, so they are the cause of the superbug spreading, and then they try to blame somebody else. In this case, I guess it's not the public that is being blamed, but the company that designed endoscopic devices. And I don't really believe they should use those that frequently and commonly anyway. That's a dangerous thing to do. And see, now on top of the danger of ripping the intestine of the internal parts of an individual, there also is the danger of infection because of misuse of what they have. And in my opinion is lack of concern, lack of consideration for the patient, and totally disregard for the best interest of the patient. That's my opinion. Theirs is another one. Okay. Now, let's go back to the big offender, which is FDA. Okay? The Fraud and Debt Administration. Okay. What they are doing is requesting input from the public on a proposed study that will assess safety outcomes in adults with atrial fibrillation who recently started the drug dabigatran etexilate. Well, brand name is Pradaxa, and I've seen it advertised on TV. So, but they want input from the public on Pradaxa as compared to warfarin. You know, warfarin has been around forever. Coumadin, but warfarin is Coumadin is a brand name. Warfarin is a generic name. Okay, and they put people on atrial fibrillation as a standard procedure. Thin the blood and just keep an eye that they don't bleed to death. Yeah. Now, my opposition to this whole thing is FDA is requesting input from the public. Okay? A Pradaxa is being used, is being substituted for warfarin because, of course, you know, Pradaxa costs more. It's a new drug. They want to access. It's a safety, one-time safety assessment, by the way. They want to assess the risk of stroke, intracranial hemorrhage, and major extracranial hemorrhage for patients that are taking Pradaxa versus warfarin. Okay? All right. That's what FDA is doing. It's not all right, because my question is, on what basis they approve Pradaxa and they allow to be used? If now they want to have input from the public on what Pradaxa does. How they approved it for public use? On what basis? Why? If they don't know what it does as compared to warfarin. So compare patient on warfarin to patient on Pradaxa and who's dying faster, or who is bleeding to death faster, or of a stroke. Yeah, basically that's what it is, of intracranial hemorrhage. I mean, they're using the public as guinea pigs. They're proving the drugs that is not safe yet. They don't know if it's safe or not. So on what basis they approved for use? When they are attacking a compounding pharmacy for nonsense, or small company, they're selling supplements. They are attacking those and not telling we're watching, waiting for people complain. We don't have any complaint about what you're doing. You shouldn't be doing, so we're going to close you down in the meantime till we gather more information. And in this one, they have no idea. They want input from the public. They approved it, but they want input from the public on what happened if Predax is better or worse than warfarin. Who are you trying to kid? Okay? That's nonsense. That means they didn't do their job. Supposedly, FDA approval means that the drug is safe. People can use it. It's okay for human consumption. Then what do you base that decision on if you're asking the public to give you information and inform you of bad side effects? What are you there for? That can be done without FDA. What are they there for, other than harassing and closing small companies? I don't know. Doing espionage on private citizens. That's what the FDA is there for. Well, they got espionage training. They got to use it for something because I'm sure they don't know how to do anything else. Okay. Now, you do remember how coffee as being the villain constantly attacked by the medical. No. You cannot have coffee. Coffee is bad for you. Absolutely. And it's not like they claim now that they were saying you cannot drink too much coffee. They were saying you cannot drink coffee at all. That's what they were saying. It causes heart problem. It's caused this. It causes that. Everything under the sun. Oh, it's coffee. Oh, you go to see a doctor. The first thing, are you a coffee drinker? You stop drinking coffee immediately. That's bad for you. This used to be. Then, about a year ago, they started saying, actually, coffee could be good for your heart. Okay? And it's an antioxidant, and it could be good for your heart, which is a totally turnaround from the old stain. Okay? Now, they're claiming that they never said coffee was bad as a blanket statement. No, it was only bad for people that were drinking too much coffee. And it was only bad. And what is too much, you tell me. And also for people that they had already some heart problem. Now they're claiming that the reason why they were saying that because they were afraid that people will get caffeine addiction. They will be caffeine dependent. Okay? Now that's what they're claiming because, as it turned out, apparently, coffee consumption helps chronic liver disease. Okay? Now, the fatty content, too much fatty content in the liver, that can eventually lead to cirrhosis. They're talking about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, okay? No, actually for metabolic syndrome and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, because the fatty liver disease is another, the one for alcoholism, it's a totally different problem. You have to handle it in a different way. However, there are some common guidelines. I like to expose the nonsense of that. But anyway, so we come to the end of the show, and it went pretty quickly, but I enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else did. And please listen to me. I am not saying things just for the sake of saying it. I am saying things so you can draw some guideline and you can take the correct action. So please do listen. Please do follow, because I am saying that just to help. Certainly not providing any assistance to me. So, it's any advantage of any kind. So have a good week.